As an early stage startup founder, it's easy to take pride in being cheap and not spending money on things like tools, training, coaches, or other experts. The rationale behind this is that I'm pre-revenue and so cash poor and time rich. And so doing everything yourself seems most efficient, but this is a huge fallacy. In this video, I'm going to make a case for why founder sweat equity is the most expensive thing to waste, how you should value it, and the best way to spend it to maximize your odds of success as a startup founder. Hi there, if you're new to this channel, my name is Ash Maurya. I'm an entrepreneur and author and the creator of the one-page business modeling tool, Lean Canvas. On this channel, I share systematic strategies and techniques for starting and growing a business. Now, most people agree, at least at a rational level, that time is your scarcest resource. Yet when you study their actions, it tells a different story. This is especially true in early stage startups where founders typically self-fund or bootstrap their ideas at the start and often equate bootstrapping with being cheap. They take pride in spending nothing but sweat equity on everything, but sweat equity is the most expensive type of asset class, and here's why. When professional investors invest money in a startup, they don't put all their eggs in a single basket. They diversify their capital across a portfolio of multiple investment buckets, which spreads out their risk. They can do this because money is a leverageable asset. It can be put to work in many places simultaneously, but founder time or sweat equity is not. When you're working on a startup, you're not working on anything else. And so when you invest time in a startup, you're effectively putting all your eggs in one risky basket. And even though you may not be investing much money, you will be investing a lot of time. All ideas, especially good ones, can easily consume years of your life. This is time that you never get back, and so you have a lot more at stake than a professional investor. This is why I like to label startup founders as investor number one in their startup. You are investing with the most expensive asset class in your startup. So just how expensive is sweat equity? Let's cover that next. One way to value sweat equity is by using the opportunity cost method. This is where you value your time at the going hourly rate you should be paid if you work at an established company. If you don't know what that is, here's a simple formula. Take your annual salary from a regular day job and divide that number by 2,000 hours. This gives you your effective hourly rate, assuming a 40-hour work week. So if you could make $150,000 a year, that comes to $75 an hour. Now, while this is a decent start, it's not the right way to value founder time because the opportunity cost math assumes a high certainty of getting paid. However, this isn't the case when working in a startup. To correct for this, you need to also adjust for risk and payback time. If we use the commonly cited 10% success rate of startups, the risk-adjusted value of your sweat equity goes up by 10x from $75 an hour to $750 an hour. And then there's the payback time. In a typical job, you get paid bi-weekly or monthly. In a startup, you might forego a full salary for several months or even longer. Adjusting for payback time raises your sweat equity closer to $1,000 an hour and probably even higher. Now, does this mean that you should automatically hire anyone or anything that costs less than $1,000 an hour? Well, not quite. Unless you've got a personal war chest of money or a pot of gold stashed somewhere, you can't simply pay your way for all the jobs you need to get done. The point of this exercise isn't to get you to spend money wastefully, but to get you to first appreciate the true value of your time so you don't waste that, and most importantly, hopefully trigger a few mindset shifts. The first mindset shift is that bootstrapping a startup isn't about being cheap, but about being efficient with your resources. Yes, money is one of those resources, but since time in a startup is more valuable than money, you should optimize for time over money. Your true job as a founder is to find a repeatable and scalable business model before running out of resources. This means that if the ROI is baked in, you should always trade speed over money. Speed of learning, not frugality, is the true unfair advantage in a startup. Now, how you determine if the ROI is baked in should come from a systematic assessment of your startup's riskiest assumptions and your unique strengths as a founder. At any given point in time, there are only a few key actions that stand to drive the biggest impact in any business. Your job is to prioritize those and ignore the rest. This is the essence of practicing right action, right time. Now, within these actions, you'll often find a mix of core and non-core jobs. I define core jobs as things that directly help you build a repeatable and scalable business model, like learning from customers, while non-core jobs are things like accounting and administrative tasks that, while important, don't directly grow the business. You should prioritize delegating non-core jobs to less expensive services or tools as soon as possible, because doing these yourselves offers little to no ROI. Within core jobs, you'll find jobs you're good at and not so good at. Trying to master all these jobs yourself seems smart, but a better approach might be hiring a learning accelerant like a book, a workshop, or an expert, often in that order. Buying books to me is a no-brainer, since most books cost around $20 for a product that typically takes the author a year to curate and put together. If you get to apply even one new idea from a book in your startup, the return could be 10x to 1000x. The problem, of course, is that millions of books get published each year and most aren't all that good. The real cost here isn't the cost of the book itself, but your time. Here are some ways I try to maximize learning from books. First, I'm a deliberate reader when it comes to nonfiction books. I only read books that align with something I need to learn to address an immediate obstacle or riskiest assumption in my startup. If I'm new to the subject, I prefer reading timeless classics over books that were just published. This is because others have already vetted these books and they have stood the test of time, and if they are still popular and recommended, it's because they teach evergreen principles versus short-term tactics. And finally, I never wait to finish a book to start applying it. I test the ideas in the book on my products as I read, and I will stop reading if I don't find them effective. The third mindset shift I want to leave you with is aiming for asymmetric payoff. Since startups are risky ventures and can easily consume years of your life, you can't just look for a 1x or 2x salary return, you have to aim for a 10x return or higher. While startups have low success rates, there is a fate far worse than a failed startup, and that is ending up as a zombie startup. A zombie startup is a startup that is neither dead nor alive. This typically happens when you rush too quickly to act on an idea but realize months later that you're stuck in a small market or a suboptimal business model. This is also when the sunk cost fallacy kicks in, making it harder to kill off a zombie startup. The good news is that zombie startups are entirely avoidable if you take the time to stress test your business model, and the best time to do this is before you start, and the next best time is now. If you enjoyed this video, I've linked another video up here on how to stress test a startup in under 5 minutes. So check out that video if you're interested. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.